What is going on, my fellow Jets fans? Welcome to the latest episode of the New York Jets State of Mind podcast, coming at you as I love to do each and every week. This is your boy, Malcolm Harper, aka MA Jets Fan 83. You can follow me on X, Instagram, YouTube, and now I am pleased to announce that I am officially on TikTok at MA Jets Fan 83, which is one word, all lowercase. You can find the audio version of this podcast on any of the digital platforms of Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. The video version of this podcast will also be available on my YouTube channel at MHJetsFan83. All of my first-time followers, welcome to my podcast. Or if you're watching on my YouTube channel for the first time, welcome to my channel. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Before I get to my thoughts on the latest Jets news, if you could do me a huge favor and share this podcast along with my social media accounts with not only other Jets fans, but NFL fans, that would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button so that my podcast and channel can grow. And leave me a comment as well on any of my previous episodes. I would love to hear your feedback. With that said, let's get to the latest Jets news. And there's a lot that has been going on since the last time I actually recorded last week. And let's start with soon to be former Jets quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Albert Breer, the NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, reported that he was pleading to the Jets about returning to the team, but they decided to move in a different direction, obviously. I want to focus on the main points that eventually led to the decision to part ways. These are the direct quotes from Albert Breer. Rodgers did tell Darren Moogie and Aaron Glenn that it was the tentative intention to play in 2025. These things can change, of course, but Rodgers gave the impression that he had unfinished business to take care of. Showed plenty of self-awareness in his exit interviews with the team. The possibility that the team would have won a fresh start and showing that he knew the decision on that wouldn't be on his own. As such, there are really no attempts from either side of negotiating a third year for Rodgers with the team. Had strong relationships in the building with former Jets head coach Robert Saleh, team president Jaime Ethai, and owner Christopher Johnson, moving among others. It sounds like it's not you, it's me explanation. But the reality was that the Jets' desire to move on was about them and not Rodgers, and timelines that did not match up. New York, under its leaders, was looking at a deliberate reimagination of its football operation, which was going to be tough to marry up with a quarterback playing for this year alone. Part of that is, yes, the larger than life presence Aaron Rodgers brings with him. So his effect on and in the media was a factor, if a smaller one. So while there's no ultimatum on giving up appearances on different platforms like the Pat McAfee show, there was discussions on that stuff. The Jets do believe Aaron Rodgers still have the bullets left in the gun. Ultimately, it came down to goals that really didn't match up. I am going to say this once, and I'm going to say it again until the cows come home. Sports is a cutthroat business. And you still got Jets fans out there on social media that are still butthurt about it. For me, personally, I moved on. And y'all should do it as well, too. Get over it. Now, let's move to the article that ESPN Rich Cimini posted on ESPN.com last Sunday. According to the article, he said that with officially announcing a pardon of the ways, the impact on the roster and the salary cap will be felt for years. Over the last two seasons, the Jets surrounded with three of his receivers, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Davante Adams. Cobb retired last summer, and now Adams and Lazard are likely out the door when free agency starts on March 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Woody Johnson spent more than $111 million before players. Here are the numbers as follows, Jets fans. A-Rod, $75 million. Lazard, $22 million. Davante Adams, $11.6 million. And Randall Cobb, $2.8 million. They played for only 66 games combined. And as a result of that, from a salary cap standpoint, the Jets will get stuck with $64 million in debt charges. $49 million for Aaron Rodgers, $8.4 million for Davante Adams, and $6.6 million from Allen Lazard. The Jets will designate Aaron Rodgers as a post June 1st cut, allowing them to spread the money over the next 2 years, $14 million this upcoming season and $35 million in 2026. That is to me, that is a lot of money for a player that's no longer going to be on the roster. Now, let's look at this from a draft perspective. Meany did mention that the Jets invested a lot of draft capital with the Green Bay Packers. Now, listen to this, Jets fans. Remember the draft picks the Jets gave up. They gave up a 2023 conditional second round pick. And remember, Jets fans, that was supposed to be a first round pick had Aaron Rodgers played 65% of the snaps. But obviously, we all know what happened 4 plays into the 2023 season when Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles. They also gave up a 2024 second round pick, a 2025 third round pick when they traded for Davante Adams with the Las Vegas Raiders, and the 2023 sixth round pick. Also swapped 2023 first round picks, dropping the Jets down to number 15 and the Packers moving up 2 spots to the 13th pick. In return, the Jets got Aaron Rodgers and the 2023 fifth round pick, which was traded and parlayed into cornerbacks Jared Bernard Converse, JBC, and tight end Zach Kuntz. Both had minimal contributions. So all of that in the Aaron Rodgers era, the final record was 12-22. The trade made sense at the time. They gave up a lot of draft capital, in my opinion. I also agree with Cimini when he said in the article that tearing his Achilles in the first game of the 2023 season will be the biggest what ifs in Jets history. He also mentioned in the article about how that affected Garrett Wilson. And me personally, and I was saying to other people when Aaron Rodgers ended up going to the Jets, was I thought that with Garrett Wilson's mediocre quarterback play the first 2 years, that with Aaron Rodgers, he was actually going to have a breakout season. And I said to people, I said, just imagine if Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball to him. I predicted he was going to go at least 1,500 yards with double-digit touchdowns. But obviously, that just did not happen. Now, according to the article from Cimini, because of the departure of Aaron Rodgers, that increases the chances of Garrett Wilson's return. Now, last season, there was tension in the relationship last season, starting with the heated conversation on the field in training camp. And on a side note, to me, I initially thought that it was not a big deal. Fueled speculation that Garrett Wilson was asking for a trade. If y'all noticed during the games this past season, cameras did catch Garrett Wilson frustrated on the sidelines. And to me, I did not blame him at all. Jets fans, y'all can agree with me on this. When Garrett Wilson is in one-on-one coverage, no one can guard him. And let's be real about that. Now, A-Rod was favoring Davante Adams more than Garrett Wilson. Now, according to the article from Cimini, in the 11 games that they were together, Davante Adams was targeted 112 times, which is third most in the NFL. Wilson had 87. It was even greater in the red zone, with Davante Adams having 21 targets, with Garrett Wilson only having 11. Also, in the article, Garrett Wilson, after 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, is the kind of player that most teams will want to be part of their foundation. And I would agree with that on as well, too. And don't be surprised when the Jets start the negotiations on a contract extension this offseason. He will be getting the market value for wide receivers, which ranges between $30 to $35 million. Whatever Garrett Wilson gets, he is going to be worth every penny. You can literally take that to the bank. So Cimini did also mention in the article that when Adams gets released, it will clear up $29.9 million in cap space. Lazard, with 60 catches in 2 years, is not enough to justify the cap charge of $13.2 million. With both of them gone, the wide receiver is very thin at the moment with Garrett Wilson, Xavier Gibson, and Malachi Corley. It will be a high priority in free agency and the draft. He said that one free agent to watch is Tim Patrick of the Detroit Lions. That makes sense knowing that he has a connection with head coach Aaron Glenn and the new offensive coordinator Tanner Enstrad. The quarterback situation has intensified starting the free agency and the draft. I have been saying his name, and so has Rich Cimini in the article. Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss, the new senior football advisor, Rick Spellman, raved about him last month in the Senior Bowl. This is a direct quote from the CBS Sports podcast with the first pick. He said, quote, "I like Jackson Dart a lot, better and better and better." Spellman said on the podcast at the conclusion of the Senior Bowl practices, "It just looks like the position comes natural to him." He also praised his arm talent, saying it was more impressive in person than it was on tape. Now, getting back to Aaron Rodgers for a second. In the last piece of that article, Cimini did talk about CJ Mosley's interview on Good Day New York on Fox 5. If y'all didn't see it, this was CJ Mosley's direct quote. And he said, quote, "We tried to do something special. Injuries took part in that, took away some time. But he did do some great things this year. Getting his 500 touchdown, he was the leader no matter what. The wins and losses can get in the way of a lot of things that you can accomplish. But there is no reason for him to leave New York with his head down because I know he gave it his all." And me personally, the last thing I'm going to say after the article is the Jets tried to go all in and it did not work. And I'm pretty sure y'all seen in the reports on Justin Fields possibly signing with the New York Jets this offseason. Reports are saying that he could be the sleeper option free agency. Now, I'm starting to get on board with this whole thing with with Justin Fields being the quarterback. So I would sign him to a cheap 1-year deal. I know we still got Tyrod Taylor on the roster, and I wouldn't mind bringing another veteran in like Justin Fields. So he could be the bridge quarterback, and we can get either Jackson Dart or Colin McCord, the quarterback from Syracuse, with the day 2 or day 3 pick, and then take over as starter in 2026. If I was the Jets, I would go with best player available because we need to start up front. We need help on the defensive line to help Quentin Williams, in my opinion. I Googled a 2025 mock draft, and I chose the one for Pro Football Focus, and they have the Jets selecting, get this, Cam Ward, the quarterback for Miami, with the 7th overall pick. They actually have a mock draft for him to slip all the way down to number 7. But personally, I really don't see him dropping out of the top 3. They have Travis Hunter as the number 1 pick. I just don't see that from the Tennessee Titans not picking Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. But we'll see what happens in the coming months leading up to the NFL draft. Now that I'm also seeing online, now there are rumors that saying that the Jets are looking to trade up for Cam Ward. Wow, that is wild. I would straight up lose my mind if the Jets end up trading up to get the number 1 pick to get Cam Ward. Now, in other Jets news, according to Connor Hughes of SNY, Morgan Moses isn't expected to return to the Jets in 2025. So this right here is also going to be a major need to address in the offseason as well, whether it's free agency or the 2025 NFL draft. He was a straight up warrior this past season with all the injuries he was dealing with, not to mention the fact he was a true professional as well. So also, according to Connor Hughes, the Jets still need a cornerback because DJ Reed is going to go and walk, defensive tackle, as I mentioned, middle linebacker, because we don't know if Jamie Sherwood is going to be re-signing with the Jets, and we don't know what CJ Mosley is because we may not even re-sign CJ Mosley either. Also, wide receivers, as I mentioned earlier in the article from Rich Cimini, we need tight end Tyler Conklin. We may not be able to actually go and re-sign him. And we're also going to need 2 safeties as well, too. So those are my thoughts on the latest Jets news. So before I get on out of here, let me get to my favorite part of the show, which is the segment that I call New Follower Shoutouts. Each new follower that I receive either on X, Instagram, YouTube, and now on TikTok, you will get a shout out personally from me. So with that said, I want to give a shout out to the following new followers on Instagram: Doug Dorsey, aka Doug Dorsey Author; Jim McDella, aka Great Medella; Mosley, aka Lower Momo, aka Lowered _ Momo; Patrick Alun, aka P. Alun; and Mario Baster, aka Mario Baster. I also want to give a shout out to the following new followers on X: Mallow, aka Mallow W, MALLOWW. I was able to get 2 new followers on my YouTube channel. And I want to give a shout out to the first 6 new followers on TikTok. That would be my brother, Marcus Harper, aka M_83, Dominic, aka Dominic underscore 76, my buddy, the Jets Ward, aka the Jets Ward. Make sure you actually go follow him on his YouTube and his TikTok as well too. And then my girl, Krista Levatus, aka That's So Krista underscore. Also, Mike McFadden 26, aka Mike McFadden 7, and the Jet Set, aka the Jet Set Podcast. I currently have 23 followers on my YouTube channel, 61 followers on Instagram, 35 followers on X, and now I have the first 6 followers that I mentioned on TikTok. So obviously, I'm going to need more followers. So with that said, I'm officially going to be signing off. So you guys are awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me on this podcast and all of my social media accounts. Let me know what you guys think of the latest Jets news in the comments section. I would love to reply to the comments. Also, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel or any of the digital platforms of Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. So when I publish a new episode, you will get a notification. Also, follow me on social media, either on X, Instagram, and now on TikTok. I will be back next week for the latest Jets news. There will probably be a lot more Jets news next week leading up to the 2025 Scouting Combine, which will begin from February 20th through March 3rd. Also, we will probably hear from the new GM, Darren Moogie, and head coach Aaron Glenn when they speak to the media next week in Indianapolis prior to the NFL Scouting Combine. So until then, JETS, 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 Jets. Stay safe and take care.